The third round of every golf tournament is known as moving day, and there's certainly a lot of moving in the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. 48 became 24, and I tell you something, there was a lot of drama and a lot of things to talk about. We'll start with the first heat. We'll get to the real drama later on, but the first heat provided, well, plenty of its own drama. Lenson Bocko, in defeat last week behind Kilmacdonough, he had shown tremendous early speed after missing the kick, flown into the third, got held up again. He faded out of it in the end, but showed real determination and real pace. Tonight he put everything right, got to the front early, and that was that. This was the display of a young greyhound that could very easily win a derby.
Yeah, very much so. Age isn't a factor for Lenson Bocko. He's just very professional in everything he does. He's a serious strike rate now, 10 races, 8 wins to his name. He just does everything right. I was talking to Peter Cronin, the far side, on a later stage after this race, and he even said it to me. He said, like, he starts, flies down the back, and he gets home over 550 no problem. It was a tough race from last week, and for a young dog he did fade out of it a little bit up the run home, but tonight he put all the pieces of the jigsaw together, and very impressively, by far the fastest winner of the night. If he keeps starting the way he is, he's going to be a major player in this. Behind
them, of course, Jamira Buddy ran a fine race in second. He was always second. He was never threatened for second spot. Run Happy eventually came through in third. I'm afraid this third bend in this race paid price to the likes of Ballyhimmock and Jet and your fella JT Taylor. He had missed a kick, he'd taken a wallop on the opening turn, was trying to get back into it at the third bend. I'm not sure what he have got there. We'll never know, but he was badly balked, and I'm afraid it ended the hopes of the likes of Ballyhimmock and Jet and your fella. Run Happy was the lucky one in the situation. He was left third, and in the end wasn't actually beaten all that far for second.
Yeah, look, Taylor's race was over, I suppose, at the boxes. There's only so many times he can miss the kick, and we'll say he'll do it next week. For whatever reason, the older he's got, the worse his trapping has become. So look, he'll run out the end of the year, and there's bigger competitions for him that he'll go on to do and take on, but he's going to have to brush up on his strapping boots. Like you said, into the third bend, they were bunching up. Ballyhimmock and Jet is a strong type, so he wouldn't have been easy to come from behind if Taylor would have ever come from behind him. But you would say that Pat Buckley would have been breathing a sigh of relief in the bump and went on. Run Happy, who was picked up last week, Ballyhimmock and Jet, strong type in behind him coming at the third bend, but it was very messy, and luckily enough all six walked off safe and sound.
Again, 29-27 though, Lenson Bocko, that was a serious run. He set the standard tonight. Another fine display came in the second heat. Slippy Keane, a finalist last year, of course a brilliant greyhound. We've known that for quite some time, one of Ireland's best, and on this occasion led into the opening turn. I'm afraid for Alhan River, his derby came to an end at the opening bend. He was in a perfect position on the fence, but clipped from behind, and that, I'm afraid, ended his momentum. Slippy Keane raced on. In the end, he needed to build that 4 or 5 length lead, because BoyleSports King is still there for John Boyle. This fellow absolutely raced home, but Slippy Keane, a good winner in 29-41.
Yeah, very much so. It was a weird sort of a race. Going into the bend, you thought Slippy Keane was in trouble because he was in a second, third position on the outside. You knew there was going to be a bit of trouble, but luckily enough for him, the trouble happened on the inside, and he just cleared Sophie's man. There was inches in it, really. He just got around, and when he gets around like that, we know how good he is. He might be a little bit older and might be just slightly past his very best, but he's still capable. 29-47 time was a brilliant run. BoyleSports King, look, his mother met him the way he is, and he doesn't go to the bend well, but when he turned close tonight, you knew he was going to come, and he's extraordinary from the second last bend to the winning line. He really is. He's a dog that you won't want in your heat, because it's hard to see him finishing out the first 3. You can see him putting a couple behind him most nights, and he's going to be thereabouts. I don't think he'll win many races. What I said to John going into the Derby, I don't see him winning many heats, if any, but I can see him at these later stages, because he'll pick up second and third place finishes. Like, he's had 8 races, he's been second 6 times. It tells its own story. Peter Cronin, Sophie's man, ran well, but this was just a messy race at the first bend, and it was left to the outside traps to dominate from there.
We'll move on. There are trap draws, and then there are trap draws. Droopy's Pension, it was widely accepted he was well housed in 6 despite being an inside seed. The reason was that music to our ears was certainly going to edge inwards. He dived inwards. All of a sudden, Droopy's Pension, who had walked from traps in reality, was left with the room of Shelbourne Park, and music to our ears went left, gave Great Eastern, Sleeve League, even Lolo's Bear and Deadly Dynamite on the inside had no chance. They were just so squeezed up. Droopy's Pension raced into the corner, went on clear, and thereafter he was never going to be stopped. Music to our ears, I still don't know how he managed to turn a clear second, but he qualified in second spot, but it was all about Droopy's pension once he got that run into the bend.
Yeah, look, this is probably one of the most hard luck stories for the 3 and the 4 in particular. Likes of Taylor and stuff, like it was his own fault missing the break and stuff. But Great Eastern Sleeve League actually trapped quite well. But Music to Our Ears is such a fast starter as well. He broke, and like you said, he went in. It looked passing the winning line. A lot of damage had been done, but he nearly came back a second time on the run to the bend, and it was mayhem on the corner. Droopy's pension for an inside seat. If you watch it back, when he trapped, he actually steps right and went up as straight as an arrow. He never moved inwards whatsoever until the corner, and he ran it like you'd like to see a wide seat running. Break wide, run straight, cut the corner. Now it was easy to cut the corner tonight because, like I said, there was nothing on his inside, and the race was over as a contest. Music to Our Ears. He did mess up the inside, but in fairness to him, he's an inside seat for a reason. He was dealt the draw in 5, and he had to make the best of it. And like you said, how he got round and to qualify, I don't know. Deadly Dynamite ran well to be third, but in fairness, it was a war of attrition on the run to the bend and after that, and it just happened the way it did. But Droopy's pension, a very easy winner, all right, with the trap draw.
Yeah, sort of quietly, I suppose he's entitled to have a bit of early speed. 29.65, we know we can do faster. He did 3 lengths faster last week. Moving on, Heat 4, and this was the turn of Mertz Boher. He's a dog with an awful lot of pace. All his best form though seemed to come around Clonmel. He'd never won here at Shelbourne Park. He put that right tonight. Lenson Blinder, his kennel companion, was the one that came for money. He was favourite tonight. I thought Droopy's Hunch would be favourite, who in turn herself missed the kick and never really got involved. Lenson Blinder popped out, but I'm afraid he was just found wanting to the bend. Mertz Boher was in the inside of 3 dogs, himself, Toto's Park and Cash's King, and when he got to the front on that opening turn from the inside line, it was going to take something special to pick him up because he has big pace down the back straight, and he certainly gets home over the 550. Lenson Blinder in the end ran on strongly to grab second, passing Cash's King, which is no easy feat. But Mertz Boher, deserving of his first success here at Shelbourne Park, and another winner for Graham Holland. That was 3 out of the first 4 heat winners.
Yeah, domination, and this was it as well. Mertz Boher really improved trapping wise tonight. He has got a 3:38 there sectional the night he was behind Burgess Bucks before the Derby started, but his 2 sectionals in the first 2 rounds hadn't been good. I'm sure he improved on that tonight, and once he was in front, he never really looked like he was ever going to be caught. Lenson Blinder, we know what he's like. He's just a stellar greyhound. He'll stay plugging away. I thought he might show a bit more. I really fancied Lenson Blinder tonight from the draw. I thought he'd lead up to 2, no problem. I thought 3, Toto's Park, I thought he'd lead him quite convincingly, and I thought Droopy's Hunch might go to the bench. She just walked out by her standards tonight, and when you're one of those early pacers and you do miss it that badly, you know your fate early. Cash's King is a dog we've talked about here, and we keep saying it. He doesn't seem to be the force of old, but he's starting much better. He's running much better. He will need to improve, but he's in the quarter final of a derby, and there's only 3 more rounds to go.
Perhaps an argument for the likes of Lenson Blinder, a bit like JT Taylor. As they're getting that little bit older, they're probably more strong strength, maybe 600 yard type dogs, Lenson Blinder, but as you say, it could be hard enough to keep out of the frame. And so we move on to Heat 5. Take a breath.
Yeah.
This was one of those races where you close your eyes and just pray that nothing bad happens. It was a catastrophe in terms of a spectacle. Law Hill Josh and Wolf both came to grief on the opening turn. They in turn took down Court of Justice. Grange U10 again showed his brilliant early speed, but not quite as flashy out front tonight as in the previous 2 rounds. But this was all about Law Hill Josh, I'm afraid, who turned back up the track. It could have been a disaster. Thankfully nothing too serious happened. 4 did check up in the latter stages. Toolmaker Daddy cost him second spot, but Grange U10 got to the front early, made every yard, but it was sort of head and hands moment, when the dogs were going down the back straight and Law Hill Josh was looking around him going, where'll I go? And he went the wrong way.
Yeah, look, I didn't see it in real time. I watched this race inside, so I wasn't seeing the bigger picture from outside. I only watched it on the TV screen. I only saw what was on the TV screen. Your commentary, in fairness, you highlighted it straight away, that danger was coming because, like you said, Law Hill Josh had turned to come back. Where do you start with this race? Grange U10, I said last week, nothing will go with this lad to halfway. Tonight we didn't see that sparkle. Now, whether or not
he still did a 17.06, it's still a brilliant run,
yeah,
but just not quite as eye-catching as other nights.
Exactly. Maybe it was the calibre of dog he was in against, but when he hit the ground I was waiting for he had Wolf on his outside. He had dogged it at the 29-22, so I probably haven't been a little bit harsh on him. I just waited. Just the last 2 weeks have just been unbelievable, but he still won. whether the runs will catch up on him, we'll wait and see. He's still the dog I think you definitely don't want to be drawn in against, because he's so good to the corner. Local Josh clipped he must have clipped into the 4 or the 3 at the time. I couldn't really see it on the video what he actually clipped, and then it was just a disaster really. They went tumbling, as you said, and when Local Josh turned around and came back, you literally were putting your hand over your eyes to hope that nothing happened, and it didn't, thankfully. And it is worth highlighting, all 6 dogs have come off fine. Dromrich Altair, I said these boys celebrated like they'd won the Derby qualifying in the first round. I didn't see what they were like over the far side getting to the quarter final, but they're still in there. Like you said, I don't think he can be put out nearly at this stage.
With everything that happened, he's actually not beaten that far. He's only beaten like a length and a half. Fairness to him, Dromrich Altair, he's one of those dogs, he just keeps getting through, and who's to say it won't happen again next week?
Yeah, and he's doing decent enough runs, like 29.70, and he's not beating far tonight, 29.80 in a very, very messy race. Like he's there, like it's not as if he's doing 30-40, that he's just getting through fluking it every night. He is running well. Toolmaker Daddy gets through. I'd like to see him go to the bend a little bit quicker. That's the one flaw I'd have in him. But Grangeview 10 through, all 6 off safe and sound, and we move forward.
Yeah, we will move forward, but there will be a lot more talk of this race, I'm afraid, in the coming weeks. No question about it. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was addressed at a higher level in the future. On to Heat 6 of the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. And this saw Kilmacdonough rising like a phoenix from the flames. She's 4th into the back straight, and it's gone. Well, that's the winning sequence ended, but she never looked like she wasn't going to qualify. Ballymac Cooper was on the shoulder of Ribchester at the opening turn. It was only a matter of time before he went to the front. Ballymac Cooper went to the front into the 3rd bend, but Kilmacdonough, importantly, went 3rd into the halfway when Ribchester stayed wide. He was never going to bother. She went 2nd, and we just knew off that last bend she was going to get there. This bitch does not know when she's beaten. It was another brilliant run by Kilmacdonough. The time wasn't there, but it wasn't a race about times. She's still there, and she's still in with a real chance in a derby.
Yeah, look, at some point you run out of superlatives for her. I don't know how to summarise this. To me, she may have won her last 8, and I know she's broken the clock. She won the Dundalk International. This is the best. I think you summed it up in commentary, hitting the 3rd bend. You said, and she's gone into 3rd. She'll qualify from here, and I was the same. I said, lovely. The story rolls on. She's 3rd. Ballymac Cooper, love seeing the pup back to form. He'll win the race. We've 2 talking points: the pup coming back and herself qualifying and going another round. And literally, when they turned for home, you saw her just change her stride, and the writing was on. I don't think it would have mattered what was in front of her at that point. She's so determined, like she really is. She won the Dundalk International for 5, driving across dogs to take the corner, and it was the same tonight. Like when she puts her mind to it, and she's just running with such confidence at the moment. Like I don't know how they're going to stop her. She, like you said, time was immaterial. I don't think there was many in the Derby that could have done what she done tonight, and that's being honest. Ballymac Cooper, listen, he's a young dog. He's getting better. It's hard to talk about him now because she was so good and so impressive. But I was impressed with the pup tonight. He's still there. He's a quarter final of a derby. He's still learning. Like this lad was running in an unraced stake only a matter of months ago, and he really is coming forward all the time. Maybe this derby might be a step too soon. He will need to improve physically and stamina wise if he's going to land the spoils. But yeah, 2 very, very exciting prospects in Kilmacdonough and Ballymac Cooper there.
Cabra Firmino grabbing 3rd. I still feel that Ballymac Cooper isn't quite. I just don't think he's quite firing. I think we've seen better from him, and I think Liam Dowling will still be working at this fellow, going, if he comes right. Because where he was in the opening yards, I thought this lad's going to do 29.40 or better here tonight, and just didn't. Just not quite getting to the bottom of him. Perhaps I still think there's another big run in him. After the drama of the previous 2 heats, perhaps it was time to take a breath. And well, in the end, Magical Braille took our breath away. The Derby runner-up from last year, of course, hit the lids from Trap 1. Who said Trap 1 was a problem? I don't know. Yeah. that was the narrative coming into this Derby. That's twice in this year's Derby he's won from Trap 1. Tonight, there was no doubt about it. He flashed out of the inside box and was never worried an inch. This was just a thoroughly professional display from a superstar of our sport.
Yeah, and he's so dangerous now because we're talking about Kilmacdonough, we're talking about Lenson Bocko, we're talking about all these, and he was so good in the English Derby this year. Trapdraw went against him in the final, but he was unbelievable. He looked as good as ever. He's coming here and somewhat under the radar, somewhat not. I know he's towards the top end of the betting, but he's just that dog that he's just gone through the early rounds of this, just winning and doing nice times without boasting the best times. When this dog puts it all together, he's one of Ireland and England's best, whatever side of the fence you want to sit on and call him. But
he's Irish.
Yeah, I knew I'd leave that one to you. But yeah, Trap 1 now. He's been in Trap 1 twice already,
and won the next night.
He's in one again the next night. But he's such a big dog. As long as he just starts reasonably well, we know how good he is to a bend, and his size will help him. If he's level at the corner or not in front, he'll use that size well, and he's well experienced. He's going to take a lot of beating. I'd love to see him get to another Derby final, and who knows, he may even lift the glory this year.
Yeah, Night Rocker ran a big race for Ollie Bray. He was a massive price to basically he was a massive price to get involved at all, but he finished a good second, and Our Surprise running on strongly for third spot. Another one of those dogs that could just sneak through another round or two, you never know.
Well, there's only two of them left for me. Our Surprise is one of them and BoyleSports King is the other, so you can only two stayers left, in my opinion, out and out stayers left at the quarter final stages. There's a lot of early pacers in it. They could very easily pick up third place next week again.
The final heat, I'm afraid we sadly said goodbye to Ballyhan Sim. It just wasn't meant to be. He was getting there. There was no question his runs in the previous two rounds were very encouraging. Tonight, didn't quite get his flyer and straight in, took that immediate bump. And I'm afraid once he wasn't carrying his momentum into the corner with the other dogs getting the run around him, I'm afraid his derby was over after 10 strides in this contest. Instead, Mucky Bray hit the power button at Traps, went to the front. Highview Micro looked a serious threat off the final bend, but as with last week, Mucky Bray, it has to be said, it was almost like he sensed the danger and stuck his neck out. He's a racer, this fellow. The times may not be as flashy as some of them, but 29.59, there's nothing wrong with it. He has, as you said, 28 seconds here around Shelbourne Park. He's a dog that's still there for the maestro, Michael O'Donovan, who's bidding to complete a hat-trick of Derby successes. I wouldn't rule him out, although he is probably dependent on the right trap draw. He doesn't want the Magical Bale or a Grangeview 10 on his inside, but if he's in the right position, he's gonna keep going. He's gonna dig in.
Without question, he's the dog that we said coming into it that we were both very interested to see. He fitted the profile, if you want to call it that, and I was much more impressed with him this week than I even was last week. You hit the nail on the head. Highview Micro stays, looked a real danger around the bottom two bends, but once straightened up for home again, Mucky Bray, as if he held something back, just had that final kick again up the home straight, and that's a great attribute to have, that knowing in your arsenal that yeah, they might get to you, but getting past you is another thing. That's a great quality in a greyhound, and Mucky Bray seems to have it. So very much impressed, and I really want to see more to come from Mucky Bray. I think there is still improvement, and like we said, he's doing 29.59. You come here Derby final night, you do 29.40 or 29.50, you're going to be somewhere near that podium. They do the 29.20 runs now. History tells us in a final of a Derby, if you do 29.40 or 50, you're not going to be very far away. So I think if he can stay in another round or two and improve, and like you said, the key to him is not with a blister and starter on his inside, he'll be thereabouts.
Yeah, just notable there that like Eamon Doyle would have been very disappointed. Monbeg Bakayoko showed fine pace. He was second much of the way, actually ran well into the third bend to go second, but then eased off slightly, and in the end he's collared by Ballydoyle Valor. Graham Holland with another one through. He didn't need it, but he got another one through. He's a really strong team in this year's Derby.
Oh, listen, an abundance of riches. Which one would you, like we're saying, which one would you pick out to win the Derby going into the quarterfinals? Which one of Graham's is going to last the longest? He's an unbelievable team of greyhounds, and they're absolutely flying at the right time of the year. He's going to be a hard man to beat in this year's Derby.
It is. This Derby's coming to the Boyle at the right time. We're now down to the last 24. There's no room for error. There's nowhere to hide. It's going to be exciting these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, without question. You always put me on the spot. Which one would you pick now if you had to nail your colours to the mast now?
I was very taken by Lenson Bocko last week. I followed him tonight, and I think just the profile of the dog, I think maybe he could be the one to beat. But I think, obviously Magical Bale, Kilmacdonough, I think it's one of those derbies where it'll come down to the trap drop when it comes to the serious end. Yeah,
I agree with you. I'd probably go with the bitch. I just think tonight was just unbelievable Kilmacdonough performance, and she's just on a roll at the moment that she thinks she can walk on water, and I think you could make a case for 3 or 4 of them, but I'll stick with her. Well, you heard it. Kilmacdonough, she thinks she can walk on water. We'll see next week when they reach the last 24 of the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. 24 will become 12, just one step away thereafter from the Derby final itself. Join us next week.